we had the opportunity to talk with director Alex McAulay about his new Blumhouse film, A House on the Bayou, which drops on epix and digital this November 19th. And here's what he had to say. Check it out. What's going on, everyone? I'm here with director Alex McAulay. He is the director of new Blumhouse film, A House on the Bayou. And I got to tell you, it's pretty wild. Alex, it's great to have you.
It's great to be here. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
Thanks for talking to me. I want to talk about this film because, boy, I mean, it's trippy, but in a good way. I want to know, what inspired you to do this? I know you had mentioned you've written this thing over the pandemic, and one of the great things that I love about horror, because I'm a huge horror buff, is that there's a lot more originality in the horror space. So where did this story come from for you?
Well, it was sort of like twofold. Like the first part, the characters and like of the family and all that was like inspired by over the pandemic. I feel like I saw so many relationships, marriages kind of like break apart or go crazy because suddenly everyone's at home working and they're in like a one-room apartment and it's not good. And so I was like, and having been in weird relationships in the past myself, I'm like, oh, that'd be fun to write about. And then the second part was I always had this idea of like, I grew up in Texas. I was like in an era where there were still like child preachers. Like I'd go to the state fair with my dad and there was like a child preacher and like in a like Children of the Corn kind of vibe. And I'm like, yeah, I love the idea of exploring those kind of characters, like something really creepy and weird about that I love. And then I'm like, yeah, what if this family goes, they're all messed up, the dad's cheating, they're emotionally disconnected, but they go out to try to take a break and rebuild. And then this guy turns up at the door, bringing this kind of weird kind of justice to the situation and testing them, poking them to see what they're all about. And so, yeah, that was like the jumping off point for it. And then without giving twists away, of course, things go really badly for this family. It's all kinds of crazy stuff happens to them that hopefully people don't see coming.
You do a great job at hiding things, particularly, is it spirit? Is it what's the word I'm looking for? Is it supernatural? Is it not? Like I'm still kind of thinking, like I'm scratching my head, like I don't know what's going on. But Jacob, who plays Isaac, he brought a whole different vibe to this thing that really made it all come together. Did you know particularly what you were getting into when you put him in this role? Because he sells it so well.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's a man. He knocked it out of the park. I knew of him because from when he was really young, and he was in that movie Mud and some other stuff as like a kid, and like the Maze Runner movies, but I didn't really like know of what he could do, And so my producer, Mary Margaret, told me, she's like, there's this guy you got to check out named Jacob Laughlin. And she's like, you got to see this guy. And I was like, she told me he was like 24, 25. And I was thinking that might be a little old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. And she's like, oh, he looks like kind of ageless. It's weird. You got to check him out. I'm like, so I was like, okay. So she set up a Zoom and I got on the Zoom with him and he came on the Zoom like in character kind of. And instantly I'm like, oh my God, this is the dude. This is him. This is like, because he's like funny and charming, but he's like kind of off and scary. And
yeah,
so I agree. I mean, in my mind, he elevated it. And I was with horror movies because I'm a huge horror fan as well. And like, I always feel like a great villain or a great kind of antagonist, I should say, is adds a lot. And so, and then once he was unleashed in front of the camera, it was great. And he would, mess with them, and he ad-libbed some stuff in there, and it's just really worked out nicely.
And he doesn't, I mean, he's not even alone, because even the Grandpappy character kind of like offsets that, because he's a little eerie too. Like, you don't know the dynamic in which these two are playing. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say absolutely, yeah. Him and his grandfather.
Yeah. You mentioned you're a big horror fan, and I'm picking up a lot of different vibes. One in particular, Children of the Corn. What are some of your influences, like your background as far as horror films that you kind of took influence from, if you did at all?
Yeah, I love, you know, like visually, like I really love the 80s kind of John Carpenter movies, like
Mm,
just the really classic ones like The Thing, Halloween. Just there's something really kind of stripped down. Like they look really cool, but they're not overstuffed. Like they're
mm,
kind of like just kind of like stripped down and effective. So I really like that kind of filmmaking. And then I really recently the movies I really like something like Midsummer or
yeah.
Jordan Peele's Us, where it's like there's a lot of cool stuff
Well,
going.
that's psychological.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of
Yeah.
depth to it, more so than like I love gore stuff too, and I'll watch like Cannibal Holocaust or whatever. It's like, but it's like I like stuff that has a little more character work and it means a little more and I can relate to. Like I saw like Midsummer in the theater and I had no idea how crazy that
Yeah.
was gonna
Yeah.
get. And I loved going on the ride with those kids, you know. And by the time I got to the ending, I was like, oh my god, my mind is blown. So things like that are an influence, like Hitchcock or like old thrillers that have cool twists, and those are influential. And I mean, I sort of watch everything. I love all the genres. But horror was what, and I grew up renting horror movies with my friends from like Blockbuster, and our local supermarket in Texas would have had a video section,
Yeah.
like VHS tape videos. So
Yeah.
like I'd go with my mom to help her with the shopping, and she'd just leave me in the video section, and I'd like rent stuff. And they were like 99-cent rentals and stuff. It was super cool, but lots of weird horror stuff like was floating around, and I think it just sort of got into my DNA, you know, as a kid. So yeah, I hope I get to make more horror movies. It's such a fun genre to work in.
So is that kind of the pocket you like to stay in, the horror? Or are you looking to do other things as well as that? What is next, if there is anything next?
Yeah, well, I love the horror genre and really dark thrillers. Like the movie I made before this called Don't Tell a Soul is like a dark thriller. Not horror, but it was like verging on that. So I would say the stuff like the scripts I'm working on now are like all sort of horror thriller. Like I like where those two things meet. Sometimes cool stuff happens, you know. And like you said with this one, it's like, yeah, it's Jacob's supernatural or what? There's like a whole, that's become part of
You
the.
don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know.
It's hard to figure him out. He's like always super vague too. When people ask Isaac in the movie where he came from, he always has a different story. He tells them.
Yeah.
tells them something crazy. Yeah.
You're gonna make me go back and watch it again. That would be crazy. Another great addition to this film, of course, is the young Leah McHugh. Tell me about how she got that role. Like, what was it about her that sparked her interest to be in this role? Because she's great as well. I've spoken with her, and I was telling her I couldn't tell the age range. I don't know if she's old playing young or young.
Yeah. It's wild. Like, okay, she's like, yeah, she's young, but it's crazy because like I think she's like 15, or when we shot this, she's like 15, but she's like crazy talented. Like she seems older, like because she has that intensity, and she's like such a good actor. So I had seen her in a movie, I think it's called The Lodge. Yeah, there's like the one where and it's like which had some good twists too. She's great in that. I'd seen her in an Into the Dark episode when she was younger. That's really good too. And so I didn't know about the whole thing that she was in, like the Eternals and the Marvel stuff. I just saw different auditions, you know, and I saw hers and it was so good. I was like, oh, she's amazing. Like, and then I remembered her from The Lodge, and I was like, oh, she's great in that. And then they're like, oh, we don't know if we can get her because she just did this Marvel movie. And when I heard that, oh man, we probably can't now. She's going to be huge. But we got her in that little window, like right before it came out.
Yeah.
She's great though. That's like a tough role too, because she's like the only kind of innocent character in the movie. I feel like it's like she's like her parents are messed up to various degrees, and like she's kind of like, I mean, it's really uncomfortable too when Isaac kind of hits on her.
Oh yeah.
Just it's like so strange because like he's so much older. But yeah, she was great. She brought a lot to it. I think she's gonna have like a huge career, like no question.
Yeah. Well, one thing I could say is that you brought a lot of terror and you brought a lot of emotion through these actors, which is, I commend you on that because it works. All of it works very well. One thing I gotta ask though, is Tobes okay? Is the cat okay?
Yeah, it's funny because like, so that's the one thing that we kind of ran out of time to do. I was like, in the strip, when there was going to be a shot where they were like running to their car out of the house, and they were going to see Leah was going to see Toby the cat on Grandpappy's body, and she was going to be she's going to go Toby and run to get Toby, and there's going to be like a close up on Toby, and Toby was going to hiss and his eyes would kind of glow like Toby's chosen to go with like, you know, them. And then, but the cat was not very amenable to doing anything like that. And we ran out of time. So in my mind, Toby, that the door to the house is open a lot near the end of the movie. So my hope, Toby just ran out the door and kept running and is eating mice on the bottom somewhere. Like, just, like happily living the life of a cat.
You had me on the edge of my seat. I'm a cat dad. I was like, no, not Tobes, not Tobes.
Oh, yeah, right. I have 2 cats, including a big black cat that looks just like Toby, named Ishmael, who is now older. Ishmael used to be really full of energy and like run around the apartment or house, but now Ishmael sleeps and eats. So like, he doesn't do much more than that. But I love cats too. So yeah, I was always wanted to do more. Maybe that's in the sequel.
Will there be a sequel?
I don't think there'll be a sequel, a prequel maybe. But
I need more Isaac, man.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it would be fun. It would definitely be a blast to do something with Jacob again. I feel like he is just so talented. And he's really, he didn't, after the Maze Runner movies, he could have moved to Hollywood and taken that route, but he stayed with his family in Arkansas and is like just doing his own thing. And which is super cool. I think he didn't sort of he just wanted to pursue his own vision and take kind of edgy or weird things, which I totally applaud. I mean, I like the Maze Runner movies, but it's like, I think he's just a really phenomenal, and in real life, he's like so gentle. That's the other funny thing. He's like he's like so sweet. He's like really like kind of shy and nice. So it's wild to see him become this other person.
Well, Alex, man, I want to thank you for talking to me. I absolutely think the film is great. I love the cast that you put together and the story you're trying to tell. But one more question. It does have like a biblical kind of tone to it. Does each character have a symbolism? Like do they all like you said that Leah is, she's more of the innocent one, or was there a type of symbolism you were trying to go for each character?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I think in a sort of general way, I always imagine Paul represents kind of like the worst of what someone can do. Because with Paul's character, he's like a cheater, he's a liar, like nonstop liar about everything. He's cheating, he's clearly done it a bunch, and he keeps covering it up. And he's like, he treats her bad. When she cries and gets all upset, he's like totally emotionless. I'm like,
all the way down to when he's busted.
Exactly. Exactly. He's like, he's just like, he's made like the worst choices. So I always thought he's kind of like the worst, or like has the most negative things inside him. And then Leah is like sort of the innocent one. And then Angela is maybe the one who I guess I feel maybe closest to, where it's like, she's trying to do her best, but there's also times where she does the wrong thing, or she's super mean or cold, and like it's like she's kind of like the mixture of negative and positive things. Like she's not innocent like her daughter, but she's not really monstrous like the husband. She's just struggling to try to just keep the family together and keep things working, and it doesn't go too well. But that's a great question. I mean, that's sort of how. And then Jacob, I guess, is the moral compass or the force that comes in and kind of helps reveal the people for who they really are. I think that's sort of how.
Well, thank you again for talking to me, Alex. I really hope to see more from Isaac and Grandpappy, actually.
You did.
We let everybody know that this film, A House on the Bayou, it comes out November 19th on epix and on digital, guys. Make sure you check it out. Thank you.